There has only ever been one ABBA. From the first shimmering piano notes to the instantly recognizable harmonies, their music created a universe that felt joyful, dramatic, and deeply human all at once. The costumes were bold, the hairstyles unforgettable, but beneath the spectacle was something far more powerful. Songs that spoke to love, longing, and emotional truth. At the heart of it all stood Benny Andersson, a composer whose melodies seemed to bypass trends entirely and go straight for the soul. While ABBA became a global phenomenon, their success was never built on image alone. It was built on craftsmanship, intuition, and a rare musical chemistry that could not be manufactured. Decades later, ABBA's songs still fill dance floors, theaters, and stadiums, sounding as fresh as they did in the 1970s. That longevity is no accident. It reflects the work of artists who understood that pop music could be both accessible and profound, joyful and heartbreaking, all at the same time. A childhood shaped by music, Benny Andersson was born on December 16, 1946 in Stockholm, Sweden, into a family where music was not a hobby but a way of life. His father and grandfather were both musicians, and they introduced him to the accordion at an early age, sparking a fascination that would never fade. By the time he was a teenager, Benny had taught himself piano, absorbing melodies from Swedish folk traditions, classical compositions, and the explosive energy of American rock and roll. Elvis Presley, Little Richard, and early pop records captured his imagination, blending seamlessly with the sounds of his own cultural roots. School quickly became secondary to music, and at just 15, Benny made the bold decision to leave formal education and pursue a career full-time. It was a risk, but one driven by instinct rather than rebellion. Even then, those around him sensed that he possessed something rare, an ear for melody that felt effortless, natural, and quietly extraordinary. Early fame and a fateful meeting. In the early 1960s, Benny found his first taste of fame as a member of the Swedish pop group the Hep Stars, often described as Sweden's answer to the Beatles. The band enjoyed massive local success, and Benny quickly emerged as its creative backbone, contributing original songs that stood out for their melodic sophistication. It was during this period in 1966 that Benny met Björn Ulvaeus, a fellow musician and songwriter whose instincts perfectly complemented his own. What began as a professional collaboration soon became one of the most successful songwriting partnerships in pop history. Together, they shared an uncanny ability to turn simple, emotional ideas into unforgettable melodies. Their partnership was built on trust, mutual respect, and countless hours at the piano. Neither tried to dominate the other, instead they pushed each other creatively. That balance would become the foundation not only of their partnership, but of everything ABBA would eventually become. The voices that completed the sound Benny and Björn were searching for fully came into focus when they began working with Agnetha Fältskog and Anni-Frid Lyngstad. Individually, both women were already accomplished singers, but together they created a vocal blend that was both powerful and delicate. Their voices inspired Benny to write melodies that soared, intertwining emotion with precision. What started as studio collaborations soon evolved into the idea of a mixed vocal group, something relatively rare in pop music at the time. Early years were marked by experimentation, missed opportunities, and even confusion over the band's identity, including several name changes. Yet perseverance paid off. In 1974, the group entered the Eurovision Song Contest with Waterloo, a bold, infectious track that showcased everything that made them unique. Winning Eurovision changed everything overnight, opening the doors to international success and placing ABBA firmly on the global stage. Global stardom and timeless songs. Following Waterloo, ABBA's rise was nothing short of extraordinary. Throughout the 1970s and early 1980s, they released a string of hits that would become permanent fixtures in popular culture. Songs like Dancing Queen, Mamma Mia, Fernando, Knowing Me, Knowing You, and The Winner Takes It All were more than chart successes. They were emotional landmarks for millions of listeners. Benny's compositions balanced joy with melancholy, often disguising heartbreak beneath irresistible melodies. The band dominated radio, television, and record sales, becoming one of the best-selling pop acts in history. Yet despite the glittering success, ABBA remained deeply focused on their craft, spending long hours in the studio refining every detail. Their music crossed language barriers, resonated across generations, and proved that pop could be both intelligent and emotionally honest without losing its mass appeal, love, pressure, and personal cost. Behind the scenes, the reality of life in ABBA was far more complex than the image presented to the world. Romantic relationships within the group added emotional depth to the music, but also created immense pressure. Agnetha and Björn divorced in 1979, followed by Benny and Frida's separation in 1981. Fame, relentless touring, and personal change took their toll, and the emotional strain became impossible to hide. Yet even during heartbreak, the group continued to create extraordinary music. Their ability to channel personal pain into their work resulted in some of their most powerful songs. The honesty in tracks like The Winner Takes It All resonated because it was real. Rather than tearing the group apart immediately, these experiences deepened their artistry, allowing ABBA to mature emotionally and musically in a way few pop groups ever achieve. The Visitors and A Quiet Goodbye. ABBA's final studio album, The Visitors, released in 1981, marked a dramatic shift in tone. Gone was the glittering optimism of earlier years, replaced by introspection, vulnerability, and emotional complexity. Songs explored themes of isolation, loss, and disillusionment, reflecting both personal struggles and a changing world. Benny's compositions became darker and more layered, while the lyrics felt deeply personal and exposed. Although the album was critically praised, it signaled that the group was nearing the end of its journey. By late 1982, ABBA quietly stepped away without a formal breakup announcement. There were no farewell tours or dramatic goodbyes, just silence. Fans were left with unanswered questions, but also with a catalog of music that continued to grow in importance. Over time, ABBA's absence only strengthened their legacy, turning them from pop stars into cultural icons. Life after ABBA and new chapters. After ABBA, Benny Andersson and Björn Ulvaeus redirected their creative energy into musical theater, achieving remarkable success with projects like Chess and later Mamma Mia, which introduced ABBA's music to new generations. Meanwhile, Agnetha and Frida navigated deeply personal journeys away from the spotlight, facing grief, loss, and the challenges of life beyond global fame. Though separated professionally, the bond between the four members never fully disappeared. For decades, the idea of an ABBA reunion seemed impossible, dismissed repeatedly by the group themselves. Yet time has a way of softening old wounds. In 2021, they surprised the world by releasing Voyage, their first album in 40 years. The project was not about reclaiming fame, but about closure, connection, and shared history. It was met with overwhelming emotion from fans around the world. Legacy, reunion, and enduring connection. One of the most touching moments in ABBA's later story came in May 2025, when Benny Andersson, now in his late 70s, appeared alongside Annie Fried Lyngstad at the ABBA Voyage concert in London. Their shared laughter and quiet warmth spoke volumes about forgiveness, respect, and enduring connection. Today, ABBA's music continues to thrive through innovative digital performances, stage productions, and the timeless power of the songs themselves. Benny Andersson has allowed the world to see ABBA not just as a pop phenomenon, but as a deeply human story of love, heartbreak, resilience, and artistic integrity. Nearly half a century later, the music still brings people together, proving that melodies born from honesty and emotion never truly fade. ABBA endures not because of nostalgia alone, but because their songs continue to feel alive.